Okay, so we are finally here. I'm finally ready to talk about this. I've been using it long enough that I feel like I can give you a full breakdown of this device. This, my friends, is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. And today we'll be talking about it. So let's go.
As time goes by.
We got it here in hand. This is it. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Now, the differences from last year and this year are very minimal. So I'm just gonna run down some of the things that you really need to know. Number one is that this hinge is way more smooth, way more buttery soft than last year's. The gap in between the screen displays is barely there. So last year we had an actual noticeable gap in between, and this year you can barely even see that gap. So that's going to cut down on your dust, dirt, debris, and all that stuff getting in between these two displays and having any issues. And then the form factor. It actually got a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact. It's easier to handle, and it actually feels better when you put it in your pocket. And it's also lighter than the previous model. So just keep that in mind when you're making a decision on which one of these to pick up. So it actually came in some new colors this year, and I am loving these matte finishes. Now the matte finish on the back, as well as the matte finish around the sides and the edges, don't leave any fingerprints. And if you know me, I'm really heavy on the fingerprints on my devices. So big shout out to Samsung for getting us those colors that we so enjoy so well. Now, let's talk about the performance of this, because with the introduction of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, you're supposed to get better performance, right? I mean, better graphics, better battery life, longer playing time, no heating. The list goes on and on. Better pictures, better videos, all that stuff. Your quality should improve on those things, and they actually do. But it's not to a point where we can justify going from the 4 to the 5. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say this at the beginning. There's no way that you should ever go from the 4 to the 5. So just keep that in mind. If you got a 4, enjoy that 4. It is the greatest thing that you're gonna get. Don't go to a 5 unless you got the money and you just wanna get the 5. You know, that's up to you. I'm not in your pockets. But for the average Joe that's going out buying these devices, if you bought a 4 last year, don't upgrade to the 5. That's just my personal opinion. I do it for the culture, that's it. But as far as the display goes, it's perfect. I can play video games, I can watch movies, I can surf internet, do anything I want to with this display. And it is a ginormous display. It lets me basically get anything done that I need to do. And it's 120 hertz refresh rate. So you're getting the best quality out there right now. And then when it comes to multitasking and productivity, this phone is king. Like, I can have 4 apps open at one time, YouTube playing, something going over here, typing something, and not to mention DeX. I can either plug this up to a monitor, or I can wirelessly send it directly to a monitor and use DeX mode and basically have a computer on the go. This really comes in handy, like when I'm just coming in, I can turn DeX on and sit down at my monitor, my Samsung monitor, of course, and then I can just be productive and do whatever I need to do, get it out of the way, pick my phone back up, and I'm back out the door. So productivity-wise, multitasking, king, productivity, king, very versatile, covers all the avenues and does everything that we need it to do. Now, this is the part where I get a little iffy at, and that's when it comes down to the battery life. Because since we actually have the new processor in the device, we should get a better battery life or a better battery experience, which I really can't say that I have experienced. Like, normally by the end of the day, I use this thing heavy. I mean, heavy. And I'm running like 15, 20%, which I was basically doing on my other device as well. So I'm thinking battery life in my case, and that's just me, this is my personal opinion, battery life is still about the same. You're gonna get a full day out of it, nothing more, nothing less. And most of us carry around battery packs and we're at desks with chargers and things like that. So it's not really hard to charge this thing on the go. But if you don't charge it for a full day, you will get that full day's worth of use out of this device. And something else that people always kind of mention is your camera. And what would a phone be without a decent camera, right? Now, the Samsung Fold cameras are not the top of the line cameras. The S23 has, hands down to me, one of the best cameras on a device. Apple is a close second, but when you're talking about cameras, I'm not just going around videoing things or taking pictures with this device. Like, I don't use it in that capacity just because it's too much of a hassle. The ratio is not always just spot on. Sometimes your object will be like over a little too far and you gotta kind of crop it and change things. I just don't like going through all of that. So I would rather, and people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I typically carry two phones with me. If it's not an iPhone and my Fold, it's either my S23 and my Fold, because I use those devices to capture pictures. And that's just me. That's just how I do it. Pretty sure I'm not the only techie out there that carries two devices, but I usually got one in my pocket and one in my bag, just in case I see something that I really need. And you can't beat my S23 zoom, so that's typically the one that I'm shooting with. Like, that 100x zoom is it, hands down, legit. And when it comes to accessories, this is another issue for me, because we've had 5 generations of this device now and we still do not have an S Pen on the inside. So Samsung, I've seen leaks and heard rumors and things like that, that the 6th iteration of this will have the S Pen. Just make it happen. Like, we want the S Pen, but a close second is the new slim S Pen case. Because basically that slim, thin form of an S Pen can be put on the back of that case and you just take it out and you don't have to worry about losing it, because I have an S Pen Pro and I'm always misplacing it because it will not travel friendly. Like, it won't go into a case. It won't, I got to put it in a bag. So Samsung, if you're listening, S Pen in phone next year, please and thank you. So that's been it. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 is probably still my best device. Yeah, probably still my best device. When it comes to functionality, when it comes to ease of use, when it comes to the actual capability to get things done, and I love all the settings. The fact that I can customize the inner display as well as the outer display and they don't sync up. The fact that I can continue apps from screen closing to front screen and vice versa. You just can't, like, you can't beat it. Like, the continuity is there, the productivity is there, the features are there, the functionality is there. All we need now, and I've been saying this for 2 years now, all we need to make this the perfect device is put the S Pen inside. That's all we're asking, Samsung. This is an update rather than an upgrade, in my opinion, but it's also a new experience. So hopefully this has been able to help someone out. If you got the 4, do not purchase the 5, unless you just got the money and you want to go out and get one. That's totally up to you. That's your business. I wouldn't do it. But if you gotta have it, you gotta have it. Until next time, Average Tech Guy out. Peace.